Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and it is a doozy this evening on this evening show. I know, a long time no see, right? It's not like I just spoke to you a couple hours ago. No problem. I love listening to you guys' opinions. I love getting your thoughts. That's why I'm here. And maybe I just like the sound of my voice. I don't know, but I am back to the fan channel that is built on fan opinion first, fan opinion always. This channel is built by, powered by you guys getting your opinions. I always try to make sure I read everybody's comments. Everybody's getting involved in the live chat. Of course, you know I respond to every comment after the fact if you guys aren't able to catch the live. I want to make sure your guys' voices are heard. I want to make sure your guys' opinions are out there and your reactions are there, your thoughts and perspective and views, because I value it. So that's what we do here at this channel. Today is our lot to cover. Like I said, we're going to be looking at the match preview of Sunday's clash against Liverpool. We've got a few player announcements, and then want to react to tenhag's press conference ahead of the match. Danny already getting involved in the chat. Hello, my guy. So let's get stuck in on this and just dive right in, guys. So first things first, Manchester United have finally announced the transfer of Ugarte. Took a hell of a long time to get this one over the line, didn't it? I don't know why it took so long. I don't know why I know we haggled and we waited, and we kind of made PSG sweat after they've made a few signings of their own. PSG have bought a lot of players. People are sleeping on the fact they bought a 25 million euro goalkeeper as well this summer. And so it seems like we were just playing chicken and we got that price down. Again, I've said many times, at what cost? You wonder what kind of difference Ugarte could have made against Brighton. You wonder what kind of difference you could have made against Liverpool at the weekend. You have to kind of get your mind out of that whole what if kind of scenario. I've said many times. I say the same thing to clients all the time. Nobody wins when you play the what if game. That's a lose-lose game. There's no winners there. So we got to try to put that out of our mind as hard as we can. I know I don't practice what I preach all the time in that regard, but do as I say, not as I do, right? So on the transfer of Ugarte, Dan Ashworth had this to say: signing Manuel was another of our primary targets for the summer. If he was a primary target, why did it take so long? I don't get that. I got it. Okay, it's the last time, I promise. I promise I won't complain anymore. He is among the very best ball-winning midfielder players in the world and has an excellent record at both club and international level. His qualities, experience, and passion will be a great complement to our strong group of midfielders. He continues, as Manuel is a player we've watched closely, and we are excited to see the positive impact he will make on the pitch and in the dressing room as we continue to strive for success. Manuel Ugarte himself has said, "It is an incredible feeling to join a club of this magnitude, one that is admired all around the world. The project that the football leadership discussed with me is extremely exciting. Manchester United is an ambitious club, and I am an ambitious player. The passion of supporters is something that is very important to me. I know how incredible United fans are, and I cannot wait to experience Old Trafford. I'm someone who is so determined to succeed. I will sacrifice and give everything for my teammates. Together, we will fight to win trophies and reach the level where this club needs to be." So kind of your blanket kind of cookie cutter statements from both Ashworth and Ugarte. It is what it is. Danny says, price, they weren't budging. That's why it took so long. PSG weren't taking us for clowns. I get that. Like I've said a couple times, at what point is haggling over 5-6 million worth, the 3 points we could have, that we might have had against Brighton kind of thing. And I think at the end of the season, those 3 points are worth more than the 5 or 6 mil. That's just my opinion. I get why everybody's haggling. Everybody wants the best deal for themselves, but it's like a cost benefit analysis there. What's the ROI on getting the deal done early versus waiting, in terms of missing these matches? This is why I don't like that the season starts and overlaps the end of the transfer window. I want a clean break, no overlap. I want just transfer windows done, season starts, let's go. None of this kind of junk. I don't like it. It's really annoying, but I get to an extent why it can be useful, as we've seen like last season. Had we gotten those injuries and then weren't able to get a replacement, we would have been kind of screwed. I mean, it didn't really matter. We played Amrabat and Lindelof at left back anyway, so at the end of the day, it didn't really make a difference. But you know what I mean. How do you guys feel about the Ugarte signing finally getting over the line? Are you excited? Are you like me? You're a little frustrated that we didn't get it done sooner? And let me know in the chat what you think. Because United have also announced another midfielder signing today. They officially announced the transfer of young Mali international midfielder Sekou Kone. He was pictured with Jason Wilcox at, the fancy table with all the sponsors behind him, with the pen and the fake signing the fake contract. It doesn't really have anything on it. You know the drill. You've seen it hundreds of times. I'm getting more and more excited about this Kone kid after watching some more highlights and stuff over the last few days. That's pretty much all anyone's really seen of him, because he plays in Mali, and who watches Malian football? Not this guy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but anyone who tells you that they're an expert on watching Mali football is just either has a lot of time on their hands, is literally from Mali, or is lying. So, but this Kone kid looks good from what I've seen. He looks like he's got this box-to-box kind of mentality. He looks really good on the ball. He's got a really good touch. He's got a good pass on him from what I've seen. So I'm excited. The future does look bright with a lot of these players. And then that doesn't even include some of the Manus and the Garnachos and the Hoylands, Colliers, Amas. We're signing these young players too. We've pretty much got a good starting 11 for the next 10 years with some of these youngsters. So I like what I see. Danny says, good deal. I think Kone or another young CM will be in the first team squad by January at the latest. Yeah, Collier maybe probably going to get fast-tracked into that first team squad in and around there. He's probably going to be traveling a lot more. Collier is pretty much going to be, I've also seen him, he's playing in some of these youngster matches still too, but I think Collier is kind of next in line, but we will see what happens. And then you got Wheatley too. Always forget about Wheatley. Oganai as well. Ibrahimov, I can never remember the kid's name as well. He was injured. I know he's come back from injury, but when I've seen him play, he looks very good. And I also figured out why there are no academy matches on MUTV anymore, is because there are no academy matches on MUTV anymore. The club released a statement saying that they've lost a lot of the infrastructure necessary and to kind of sustain that, which is super annoying. It's like when ESPN Plus drops certain leagues, like you advertise that you have these leagues, but then you don't play these games. Like, that's false advertising. That's frustrating. So Justin popping up in the chat. You can copy paste that intro all you want, bud. You're not going to catch me out. Danny says, I would rate window a bare 7 because we got rid of Sancho, but we left ourselves a little scarce. Yeah, we're going to jump into that tomorrow. Justin is going to be here tomorrow. We are going to go through the transfer window. We're going to talk about that. I got a few more notes I want to add to that show, the show agenda for that tomorrow. But you guys do come back for that tomorrow. We will be announcing the winner of the giveaway tomorrow as my big thank you for 1,000 subscribers. You guys are absolute legends for getting me to 1K subscribers. So I did want to express my gratitude by doing another giveaway. The best way to get yourself entered into that is just get involved in the chat, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel. Just lets me know that you guys are here, you're following along, you're supporting the channel, helping the community grow and thrive. And I just want to be so thankful for that. So be sure to pop back for that tomorrow, because if nothing else, you could get a shot at the giveaway. So we'll see what happens. On Sancho, though, Danny, we got a here we go from Fabrizio Romano regarding Sancho's move to Chelsea. According to Fabrizio, I'm going to say it like that from now on, I think. Jadon Sancho to Chelsea, here we go. Loan deal with obligation to buy clause agreed between the clubs. Sancho has already said yes as he wanted Chelsea moved. Deal now agreed between all parties. Man United accepted the proposal and the deal is now set to be signed. Romano did add that the obligation to buy clause for Jadon Sancho is around 25 million, so significantly less. Now, Mark Goldbridge did kind of a breakdown of the amount we pay, the amount we sell versus the amortization of these fees over the course of years. So because Sancho's only got 2 years left on his contract, if we sell him for that, we're actually mathematically making money at that point in time, like looking at how much we still have left to pay. So it's interesting when you start breaking down football finances. Of course, don't take my word. Don't take Mark Goldbridge's word as gospel. Pay attention to guys like Kieran Maguire and things like that. They're going to know a lot more. Danny says we break even. Yeah, so it's good to get those wages off the books. I think the wages for me with Sancho, aside from his attitude and behavior, I think the wages are going to be that big deal. because that's a lot. That's like 15 mil a year that we can finally get rid of. I haven't seen anything about a loan fee. Sometimes you see these loan fees, but I believe Romano said on a stream earlier today that there isn't a loan fee, but Chelsea will be taking over his wages, which is huge for us. That's a huge weight off of our shoulders in terms of just the weekly wages. We already got rid of some wages from like Varane and Martial as well. So that's a big chunk of change that we're saving every single year. Not a bad deal at all. Like Danny says, good deal on some of those. But as I said earlier in the earlier show today, the criticism for Ten Hag and for United will be swift if Sancho does start to play well for Chelsea. But you never know what you're going to get with Chelsea. That place is a shit show. So Danny says, yeah, great deal. It is a good deal. If nothing else, again, it gets a problematic player out of the club. So it is what it is. Like I said, the way Chelsea run, the way Maresca is throwing players under the bus publicly, it won't be long before we see Sancho throw another tantrum at Chelsea, and he'll probably be playing in the Saudi League in a year or two at this rate. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Sancho leaving, Ugarte announced. Kone, are you excited for the future like I am? I like a lot of these youngsters. That is the lifeblood of Manchester United from the days of Jimmy Murphy through Sir Alex Ferguson, Busby Babes, to what we've seen coming through the academy just under Ten Hag alone. I really like what I see. And, that's just what we do at United. We are youth. It's youth, courage, success, and I'm here for it. And so you guys should be excited. Let's move on to that Ten Hag pre-match press conference. I want to get your thoughts on some of his comments. If you haven't yet done so already, please hit that like button for me. Please subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Again, it does help you get involved in these giveaways. We do have a giveaway tomorrow on our transfer window rating show and our season prediction show. So please stop by for that. This is the biggest match on the fixture calendar. Let's just have it right now. I don't care if people want to try to force us into this rivalry with City. I'll never consider City rivals. Arsenal haven't been rivals in a long time. Chelsea, I never really considered rivals either. Spurs, really. Liverpool United is the biggest match on the fixture calendar. It's Manchester United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford. It literally does not get any bigger than this. And yet, in the pre-match press conference, the media want to ask about Jadon effing Sancho. Like, really? Guys, really? Come on. A lot of money wasted on journalism and degrees in the UK, as far as I'm concerned. No offense, Jay Matty. You are a wonderful guy. Jamie Jackson, good job. But a lot of money is wasted on journalism degrees in the UK. I'm just going to have it right there. In any case, let's take a look at what Ten Hag's had to say ahead of Sunday's match. Again, straight away, he was asked about McTominay and Ugarte, specifically when we'll get an announcement. Some of this is moot now because we've already announced it, but Ten Hag did say he doesn't have any news, but he'll let us know. Like, we'll know when he knows, basically. Again, I'm still frustrated we didn't push to get that done sooner, but it is what it is. I think that even if you could argue that Ugarte is because he's not been playing with PSG, even if he's not 100% fit, I feel like we could have still managed like 15, 20 minutes or so as a sub. If he doesn't start against Southampton, though, I'm going to fucking riot, and I don't even care if I get in trouble. There will be a Sean-shaped hole in this window. There will be rocks thrown, fires, the whole shebang. But then literally the next question in this presser is about Jadon Sancho's situation. Ten Hag's reply was a bit surprising, though, considering everything we've read this week and everything. So he said, as of right now, he's a player in our squad. We are happy with him. We need depth. We play many games until January due to the new format of the Europa League, so we need options. Again, some of this is moot. He was asked if Sancho was expected to be a player, and he said, as far as I know, yes. I haven't been told otherwise, basically. We now know we're getting to here we go. What's interesting to me there is, again, Ten Hag talking about this depth. We have a need for depth. I wonder what that means for our depth if we're losing Sancho. As Danny B says, we're a little scarce now. Mount injured again. We needed a left back. Like, we've lost a lot of players, and yeah, a lot of it was dead wood, but Sancho leaving does leave us a little bit light in some regards. Is 4 wingers good? If one of them is Anthony, is that really like having 3 wingers? I mean, honestly, let me know your thoughts on Sancho leaving. Let me know your thoughts if we need another winger. I doubt it's going to happen, to be honest. I really do, but we'll see. He was asked about Højlund's fitness. Ten Hag said that we're probably not going to see him till after the international break, but we're going to see how he develops and regaining match fitness. He's been training on grass. He's been doing some gym work. We'll see how it goes. Scott McTominay was brought up, specifically his reception that he got when he touched down in Naples. Ten Hag asked if he was happy for McTominay, and he said it's a little bit mixed. I'm very happy for him. It's also for us mixed because I wouldn't prefer to lose him because he's Man United in every way. Just shout out to Justin because that's what Justin says too. He was important for our team, for United. He was here for 22 years. Unfortunately, it's the rules. We have to sell players, and homegrown and academy players bring more value. He did add, too, that he doesn't think the rules are right, but for all parts, it's been a good deal. Scott's happy with it. Napoli is happy. I told you that Ten Hag didn't want to sell McTominay. He just doesn't, and he understands that we had to financially. I've seen some United fan channels kind of criticizing some of these comments on McTominay. Like, I don't know what you expect Ten Hag to say. He makes an honest statement about like Sancho's training and he gets called a bully. He makes an honest statement about how he feels about McTominay and people don't like it. Like, you can't win sometimes. I don't see what's wrong with a manager being honest and praising a player that he values, that other managers have valued. Like I said, there's nothing personal against McTominay. I just don't think he's good enough and he suits the way we want to play. It's just plain and simple. So let me see what you guys are saying here. Danny B, on his game, Cass and Ugarte and mid should be ironclad. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see for sure how Ten Hag chooses to line up. Aaron, welcome to the channel, man. Could we see Ugarte and Cass starting together, double pivot, Ambrino? We'll see. I think you could. I think the way Casemiro has been being utilized towards the end of last season, too, we saw it kind of. Casemiro seems to be doing a little bit more work in the final third area, getting a little bit more involved in that build-up, a little bit more involved in the link-up. We saw him getting more involved with like one-touch link-up in and around the box. I don't like Casemiro playing deep anymore. I don't like him being the guy to kind of patrol and protect the defense anymore. He can't do it. But what he does do is he's got the experience. He knows how to read the game, and he can do that very, very well. He's very dangerous on free kicks. He's usually the one to get on the end of a free kick, like literally almost every time. And I do think that just like Varane, reading of the game in the box, Casemiro's got a good reading of the game. His legs can't hang anymore. Yeah, I think that, and this is the beauty of getting depth, like Danny's saying. I think, like, especially in difficult away games, Aaron says, yeah, we really tighten up our defense. This is the beauty of having quality and depth, which we haven't had before. You can tinker a little bit. You can plan for different games. It'll be interesting to see how Ten Hag does that, because I don't know if Ten Hag has really grasped and embraced this concept that sometimes you do have to play a little differently against certain opposition. Like we spoke about, when you're playing against a team who plays a high line, sometimes you want to try to counterattack a little bit more, especially when the opportunity's on. But then we saw Ten Hag trying to tell Onana to do that against Brighton, and Onana was the one not releasing the ball. So you never know what's going on. Aaron says, barring any mad mistakes from Cass. Yeah, Casemiro kind of reverted to the mean a little bit. Regressed to the mean a little bit against Brighton late on once Mount went off. He had to start picking up a little bit more the work. He went to ground. He's going to ground a couple more times. He was getting caught high up the pitch a couple times. So it's going to happen when you have these patterns and these habits in your mind and your body. It's going to be very easy to fall back into them because they become almost like second nature at a certain point. But we will see how it goes. Casemiro is old enough and he's experienced enough now to know better. So we'll see if he can do it. Danny says, Manu gets some rest with Collier around too. Yeah, Manu needs a rest. He looks knackered. And he's been asked to play a little bit more deep now than he did towards the end of last season. If you looked at his heat maps, and I went over this after the Brighton match, he's getting most of his touches inside of our half, whereas last season he was getting most of his touches in the opposition half. And so he's been asked to play a little bit more. He's getting a little bit more involved, and defensively, because we're playing that 4-2-4. Problem is he's also getting a little swarmed on the ball when he gets it. He lost the ball quite a few times against Brighton, and I wasn't happy about that. Aaron says, read Collier and Manu. I worry we don't have that Manu replacement. Collier is more that 6 player, whereas Manu is that 8. Yeah, I don't think Manu is a 6 personally. He is definitely. We do want him more advanced, in my opinion. He's very good with the ball at his feet. We do need a replacement. Mount and I would have preferred maybe to see he and Mount rotate a little bit more, but Mount's obviously injured again. So we'll see. There's still, I mean, I doubt we're going to see anybody else cross the line unless it's some random free agent like Rabiot, or maybe like somebody who's on the way out who's not wanted, like a Ward-Prowse or something. Like, I don't know. But I forget about Eriksen as well. I don't know what Eriksen can do, though. Danny says, if Eriksen has to play over injury or anything, he cannot play the 8. Let Bruno play the, yeah. And this is the beauty of, if we had a little bit more depth now in midfield, we could try a couple different things. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing a diamond sometimes when maybe there's an opportunity to control the midfield. I've pushed many times in the past, let's like play a 3-5-2 sometimes. Not necessarily because of the defense, because I want to control that midfield a little bit better and get a little bit more and cause problems for the opposition fullbacks by overloading some of these wingbacks with our forwards. There's a time and a place for some flexibility and be thinking outside the box and maybe going against the grain a little bit on what you're used to. So Aaron says, let's hope Eriksen can last 10 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I don't think Ten Hag wanted to sell McTominay. He still needed to be sold, though. I think he's pretty much the only player that we could sell and actually make some money on, really. But I mean, so what did you expect Ten Hag to say, though, really? Did you notice, though, the club's Twitter post thanking McTominay? So they posted a message on Twitter saying, thanks for everything, Scott. But then the line right before that on the same post said, played like you meant it. So when I read that, I immediately remembered, do you remember that banner that some United fans put up at a match last season that said, play like you mean it? Do you remember that? Is this some shots fired from the club at these other players now that the player who is like passionate and fights for the bad, now that he's leaving, was that some shots fired so the other players would see that and be like, oh shit, yeah, we got to step it up because our basically our mascot, you know, McTominay, is leaving. Who's going to pick up that mantle of like just fighting for the badge and always doing what's asked and not complaining and just working hard? Who do we think is going to take that up? Danny B says, Kone, if all goes well, will be in the squad by January. Hopefully. I think that it's, I don't know if I would consider even Kone like a youngster. He's young, but he's playing like first team football in Mali, granted. I mean, but it is what it is. Danny says, maybe go get Naipan in January, let Eriksen go there. I wish we would have just locked up the Naipan deal now and just basically loan him back to Rosenborg until January. Like, that seemed like a no-brainer if we're interested, especially if the rumors are true and Arsenal are sniffing around now. Danny B says, are you reading about the play like you mean it? Yeah, man. I pick up on stuff like that. Hopefully it sounds like you guys do too. Ten Hag was asked what we could expect for team selection. Obviously, Mason Mount is out. Same options as last week. He said Højlund's still gone. All that stuff. Euro still out. Lindelof obviously gone as well. No Shaw, no Molasses. The same old, the same thing. So he was also asked about playing Liverpool so early in the season. Is that an advantage? Is that good to play them early, especially with a new manager? He said it's always excited. He did admit that because it's early in the season, our team's still not quite there yet, and the new players still need a little bit of time. I don't know why he's always like, I get it, but like, dude, come on. Like, we can't keep saying that. It's been a couple weeks now since you said that at another press conference. We're 2 weeks past that now. How are they still not quite there yet? He was asked about the change between these new signings and losing Scott. He gave, to my opinion, he gave a good answer, saying you can't compare players. He said we had a few holding mids. Apart from the one, we needed another, which is where Ugarte comes in. We needed another holding mid, so we signed him, basically. I'd argue, though, that we needed a left back, though, and now we need a CM. So where are those signings? We need those positions as well, and we're not. We needed a left back months and months and months ago, if we're being completely honest. But that should have been one of the big priorities going into this summer. But I'm not Ineos, I'm not Ashworth, I'm not Ten Hag. So he was asked if there's going to be any more signings. Ten Hag responded that Dan Ashworth said it all, so he didn't want to go into any of it, but he did say we always look for opportunities to have the best squad. Rajat, how you doing, my guy? Welcome back. He was asked about the Rashford criticism that Alan Shearer put out there after he was subbed off against Brighton. He was asked, is Rashford lacking confidence? And Ten Hag kind of replied the way I like more managers to reply. He's kind of replied the way we all do. So like you said, everyone gets criticism from you guys talking about the media, whether we win or lose, take a player off. The conclusion is I'm not happy with him. That's why I must have taken him off. He said, I was very happy with Rashford this season. It wasn't because his performance was bad. We have to rotate and bring on new energy to impact the game. The conclusion that the player wasn't performing is correct sometimes, but not this time. It was a stupid analysis. I don't have a problem with him going in on Shearer or going in on the media, honestly. The way Shearer behaved after the FA Cup final was disgusting, in my opinion. We know, okay, there's probably more to the Rashford being subbed off and whatnot. We get that. But what do you guys want Ten Hag to say, really? If he would have said, like, no, he wasn't playing well, the media would have gotten their pitchforks and their torches out, like, immediately. He says this, and now everyone's saying, like, he's lying, he's full of shit. Like, you can't have it both ways. You want your manager to be honest, or you want him to protect the players. You can't have both. And so maybe Ten Hag does have a better memory than we think, and maybe he remembered the way Shearer behaved after that FA Cup. We all know they criticize Ten Hag. They criticize United no matter what. We know that they fabricate and speculate and portray this stuff as truth, even when it's not. We've seen it for years. And so I'm not saying that what Shearer had to say about Rashford was wrong, but I think that Ten Hag is also right when he criticizes lazy analysis and lazy journalism. Both can be true. So Rajat says, new track top that Ugarte is wearing is very cool. Good no Sterling move. Yeah, I don't want Sterling. I never wanted Sterling. I don't like Sterling. I never rated Sterling. You guys know that. I gotta take a drink because it is hot in here. With regards to Liverpool, Ten Hag was asked if Slot has had it easier coming into that Liverpool squad compared to what Ten Hag walked into. We all can look at it removed and say, yeah, Liverpool squad was already pretty stacked. A lot of that squad has been winning things. What Ten Hag inherited, like we say, like, oh, he still got Mourinho players. He still got like Louis van Gaal players. He inherited Sir Alex Ferguson signings with David De Gea. So I'm not dissing David De Gea. I'm just saying this is what's happened. Like, we've got players here from like all these different managers, and Liverpool didn't do that. But Ten Hag responded, this is one of the reasons I wanted to come here to have this challenge. To come to a club with a lot of problems we had to solve. 6 years, no trophies. The dressing room wasn't right. We had to build. We had to raise the level. And we did this with transfers, with academy players brought into the team. We are still in the transition state. We have young players, and we have to make a team for them for the future. Media is really trying to bait him, though, to basically get him to say that Slot has had an easier time. So all he said was that Liverpool are in a different phase of their cycle. They've had players who have been together longer, which is true. And they have players that are very experienced compared to what we have, where we are in our cycle, which is also true. So it wasn't, the media is trying to bait him. The media wants a soundbite. They want a quote. You guys got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. You got to deep it. And so that was pretty much it as far as the presser goes. These pressers are just not good. They're just not, the questions are not good. Like, it's like half of like just stupid, obvious questions and half just stuff that has nothing to do with the match. Like asking him if Arne Slot's had an easier squad to walk into, asking about Jadon Sancho. Like, it's just dumb. Like, if I were I would hate this. If I were a manager or a player, I would hate having to do this. There's a reason why Paul Scholes never did this when he was a player. I would hate this so much. Not only because I'm introverted, but because I have no filter if I think people are like that or asking stupid questions. I would literally be that guy who sits there and goes, that's a stupid ass question. I would be Roy Kent if you guys ever watched Ted Lasso. Basically, I would be Roy Kent. So Roy Kent is my spirit animal when it comes to stuff like this. Zero filter. I don't care. Like, no holds barred when it comes to people who ask just stupid, insulting questions like that. I'll just let you know. Because the reason people get to that point in their adult lives where they continue to ask those kind of questions is because not enough people called them out on it throughout their entire life. I'll be that guy. That can be my superpower if you want it to be. Got no problem with that. You want empathy? For me, it costs money per hour because that's my job. So otherwise, you're going to get brutal honesty and savagery. I'm here for it. Let me know if you guys thought anything stick out at you in that presser. Nothing really to go on there. As much as the media wanted to portray Jurgen Klopp as this like great manager, his record against Ten Hag since Ten Hag arrived hasn't, like, it's nothing to write home about personally. Ten Hag beat Klopp in one of his first matches in charge since after he joined United. Then, of course, they beat us 7-0 at Anfield that season, which apparently is a trophy these days if you ask Liverpool fans, because they still want to go on about that. That's like some Arsenal level, like tin pottery there, just bragging about beating United at home. Like, where did Liverpool finish in the league that season? How many trophies did they get that first season? This much. That's how much. We finished third, lifted the first cup Ten Hag had available to him, and we knocked them out of the FA Cup last season too. We had a 0-0 draw last winter, then a 2-2 draw in April. So again, it's like, what is there to brag about? Then, of course, we knocked them out of the FA Cup. So we'll brag about that because we lifted the trophy at the end of all of that. That was one of my favorite matches in recent memory, by the way, if you guys haven't yet know. And if you remember from our awards show, you can go back and watch that if you want. Ahmad's winner in that match was voted our moment of the season. So Raja said, who put weird questions out? Just the journalists, man. They just ask weird questions in these press conferences. It's so weird. So, as always, we look at the opposition first to get a breakdown of what we can expect going into that, their team news and things like that. We'll look at some of their tactics, and then we'll jump into United. So, hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to me if you are new. Arne Slot held his press conference, and he was asked a bit about the importance of the fixture, his relationship with Ten Hag, and signings and whatnot. He said he has a good relationship with Ten Hag. They have a mutual respect. Liverpool haven't signed a whole lot of players this summer. They signed a keeper in Mamardashvili, who I really like, but he went back on loan to Valencia. So he'll probably be that Alisson replacement sometime in the future. And then they just signed Chiesa, right? As Ten Hag mentioned in his presser, their squad is already pretty stacked, despite what their fans will tell you. Like, oh, we didn't sign a 6. Fuck off. You signed 4 midfielders last summer. I don't want to hear. If you didn't want to, if Endo's not a 6, why did you sign him? Slot did mention Chiesa. He said that he's training with the squad, but there's a bigger chance that he won't be in the squad than he will be. He said he doesn't expect him to be in, but he cannot guarantee. Raja said it's more like a tabloid newsletter headline. Yeah, and that's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to get quotes and things and sound bites. And they keep asking the same stupid questions. It's ridiculous. No real injuries of note in Liverpool squad except for Curtis Jones, I think. Slot doesn't expect a whole lot of other signings, but again, like Ten Hag, you said, if the opportunity arises, they're going to take it. So what can you expect from Liverpool? So they currently sit 4th right now. They're tied on 6 points with, 3rd, 2nd, and in 1st place. They won both of their opening matches of the season 2-0 in each one. Their first match of the Arne Slot era was against newly promoted side Ipswich, so pretty easy match. No disrespect intended, but that's just the way it goes down. You know it. Then they beat Brentford last week. Aside from Ibrahim Konate and Kwanzaa playing in that right center-back role, the side's pretty much been unchanged for both those matches. On paper, it's like a 4-2-3-1. Gravenberch and McAllister sitting in the double pivot. Salah, Joboslai, Diaz are sitting behind Jota. Now, Diogo Jota is playing as that number 9-ish. He's very good in that position. He's very, very dangerous in the air, like extremely good in the air. No Darwin Nunez though, so I don't. Darwin Nunez is people don't want. Liverpool fans ain't ready to have that conversation about Darwin Nunez yet. Just like Arsenal fans ain't ready to have that conversation about Mikel Arteta. But we're ready to have that conversation whenever you guys want to. We're right here waiting for you. So under Arne Slot, and again, it was similar to like I was telling United fans when we were linked with Ten Hag, when Ten Hag was announced. It's not going to be the same football. Dutch managers are system before player. They are high percentage passes. They are patient build up. They are waiting for that opportunity to arrive, control possession kind of thing. We saw it under Louis van Gaal. We see it under Ten Hag. Under Slot, it's going to be more the same. They're not going to play too rushed. They're not going to be as reckless as they were under Jurgen Klopp. Remember, he was that heavy metal bullshit football. It was just 80s kick and rush Premier League football. Let's have it right. Come on. He's not this. Jurgen Klopp was not some sort of tactical genius. Similar to Ten Hag, Arne Slot wants Liverpool's build-up play to be careful, to be calculated, not too risky. Patiently play that ball around in the final third until a chance presents itself. All right. There's definitely not Klopp ball. The players in the pivot have license to kind of alternate getting forward or staying back depending on the situation. But that's normal with a double pivot. It's not anything revolutionary. You don't see like two N'Golo Kantes or like two Nemanja Matisai? What's the plural of Nemanja Matic if there's two of them? I don't know. Anyway, you don't see two of them in a double pivot. You need players who complement each other pretty well, and that's what you're going to get. Gravenberch can be pretty silky on the ball, but he's young, inexperienced in the side. He wasn't utilized a whole lot under Jurgen Klopp. McAllister's got that energy, that experience. He's World Cup winner and everything. Danny B says Erik tenhag style is closer to Klopp than Slot. Yeah, in terms of the press, for sure, it's that high press, that quick transition. You do see a little of the Dutch influence in tenhag, I think, when it comes to not wanting to take a ton of risks and things, but we'll see. It could be a bit of needs must from tenhag in the first few seasons when it came to counterattack because we just didn't have the players, so he had to do what he did. But as far as Liverpool go, we need to watch out for that build-up. Playing through the middle of the park. We need to watch out for these through balls. If you remember watching them against Brentford, Liverpool created problems against Brentford by they invert the fullback. So under Klopp, these fullbacks would get wide. Under Slot, they kind of invert a little bit, creating a bit of an overload and a bit of that underlap. So this left Brentford a little confused in their own third on who to pick up, who to stick with. And it allowed some very clear opportunities, some very clear passing lanes for Liverpool to find unmarked players in advanced position. I believe it was their second goal. A similar situation. Brentford lost the ball and didn't know who to pick up. Salah was just chilling all by himself onside off on that right side, and it was just a clear pass. And you have to be switched on. And this is why I like sometimes a 3-5-2 as a formation in general, because those wingbacks, they cause a lot of that confusion. They cause overload and they can draw people out of position. Aaron's clocking off. Thanks for stopping by, bud. Don't forget to stop by tomorrow and hit that like button on your way out for me, man. Good to see you. Liverpool also get their fullbacks more involved in the link-up play. That's what happens when you get them underlapping and getting inside is they get more involved in that link-up play. They can actually start linking up more with those number 10s, those strikers, and causing problems. And what that does to our fullbacks, again, as Danny points out, Dalot is like, who do I pick up? Do I follow this guy in? Do I leave him? This is where communication is going to be key. I'm saying all this, and I'm just on YouTube, and I spent a couple hours online earlier. I hope that tenhag, Van Nistelrooy, I hope these guys, and Rene Haak, I hope they can prepare for this and instruct these players in what to do. We're at home, though. I would like to see us start maybe to impose our will and our system on them rather than the other way around. So we're going to see what happens there. But Liverpool's second goal was coming from that opportunity. Creating those opportunities with the fullbacks coming up, they get more control of the ball in those compact areas higher up the pitch. It's going to be troublesome for our defenders because we saw against Brighton, we were getting kind of sucked high up the pitch too often. Licha was sometimes running all the way almost to midfield to try to make a challenge. Dalot too is getting a little too drawn in. We need to be patient. We need to try not to just get drawn in because that's how Liverpool are going to try to get us. They're going to try to be patient, wait for us to make a mistake, leave someone unmarked, and then they're just going to pass around us. Szoboszlai can cause problems. I don't think he's as dangerous as people like to think. But if you look at his heat map against Brentford, for instance, he was getting touches kind of all over the pitch. He's got like an Odegaard or like a Bruno. He's got freedom to kind of move around, free roam, and dictate play, pick up the ball, and kind of serve as like this roaming kind of focalized point, this roaming kind of reference point for play to kind of dictate. He's like always available to be an option to pass to and then kind of dictate that play. You don't want to let them sucker in you close. Like I said, don't let them kind of draw you in. They get a lot of corners and they get a lot of shots, Liverpool. They're dangerous in the air. So we need to be switched on in our area. None of this bullshit, Harry Maguire letting balls kind of run to the back post. We're not great at set pieces as it is. Hopefully this new set piece coach will come and help us out a little bit. Hopefully this new goalkeeping coach will help Onana get. I don't like the way Onana is on set pieces. He's muscular. He's very uncoordinated, very stiff, very just awkward in those positions. He had a really good punch at Brighton, to be fair, but we need to be switched on. It's rare that I see any of us, our players, jump and attack the ball on a set piece, on a corner especially. We need to be a little bit more alert, a little more switched on, and have a little bit more initiative to clear the danger. That's your first job as a defender. So it's really going to annoy me if we keep just standing around waiting for somebody else to do something. Danny says Gravenberch and fullbacks off the ball is their weakness. Yeah, and we're going to talk about Gravenberch in a second. James, welcome to the channel, my friend. Why Man United not single player tonight? What do you mean by that? Let me know. Expound on that, my guy. On United, it's going to be interesting to see if Ten Hag changes things up. Without Mount in that 10, like false 9-ish role area, Ten Hag might have to change things around a little bit. So if you look at Liverpool's average position map against Brentford, for instance, they play a very, very high line. Van Dijk and Konate were literally just inside their own half in the park. And we've seen that from Liverpool over the years. They get a lot of players forward when they have the ball because they do want to control possession a little bit and play patient ball. But it does make them vulnerable if they lose possession. If we press, we're going to have to learn to kind of maybe press them a little bit more with a little bit more care and a little bit more just patience, and see if we can nick it off the ball, because we can exploit that high line on counterattacks. And I know I've said this against Brighton. I say it all the time. I know that we probably won't, but we can if we're just alert and we just put the ball into space, and we're careful. Bruno can make that pass. Onana can make that pass. Dalot has that ball in him. Even Casemiro has that ball in him at times too. We need to just try to take advantage of that, because we've seen that we can cause. That's how we knocked them out of the FA Cup, was an opportunity just like that on a counterattack. It's what you have to do against a team that plays a high line. I'm sorry, Ten Hag, if that doesn't suit your tactical philosophy, but sometimes you have to do it. And at home against Liverpool, you'd be hard pressed to find the United fan who wouldn't want us to see score a nice counter-attacking goal. And so here's the thing: I say all that, but then I'm also torn, because counterattack isn't necessarily the way that Ten Hag wants to play per se. So part of me says, I want us to play Ten Hag's system. That's why we hired him. That's why we got these players for him. But then the other one is like, if you play a team of high line and the opportunity's on, just exploit it. It's a dilemma, right? But this is why I'm not a manager. So what do you guys think? Danny says Onana should have sorted or told the defense and organized a line to prevent the second Brighton goal. Good keeper is always communicating. Yeah, that was an issue with David De Gea. If you watch the overlap the other day with Rooney and Patrice Evra, Evra came in and said when we signed De Gea, he was so quiet, and they almost didn't want him. They wanted Anders Lindegaard to start over De Gea, because David De Gea is just he's a quiet guy. And that's something I've always said about De Gea. He doesn't command his area vocally or physically, the presence. I want a keeper who's able to take command of his area and kind of just like Van der Sar was very good at this. Tim Howard's very good at this. Tim Howard kind of compensated a little bit. He was always talking because Tim Howard has Tourette's, and so he had to always kind of talk. If you ever noticed Tim Howard, he was always kind of like, he was blinking a lot. He would like do one of these a lot, like that. Those are tics. And so Tim Howard has Tourette's, and so he would talk a lot to compensate. Little tidbit of information for you. So, but yes, Danny, you're right. The organization on these set pieces, we saw it late last year against Chelsea too. Remember that match? We were up like 3-2 going into like stoppage time, and then it just again switched off. No communication, no alertness, nobody taking the initiative to close any of these players down, and we gave away that winning goal, honestly, and then that penalty killed us. And so we need to do better in those situations. People need to take charge. And so this is where experience comes in play. Someone like Johnny Evans, or someone who's talking, that's what we like to see. Licha's good at that. If you ever watch Licha, when he's got the ball, he's always communicating. And so I'm so glad we've got Licha back. I'd like to see him be a little bit more disciplined when Liverpool have the ball, because like I said, he was getting drawn in too high up a little bit. So Nick, how are you, my guy? Welcome. Again, we have to be patient and not get caught out of position like we did a few times against Brighton. And again, Licha, I remember he's rushing into those challenges, leaving us exposed. And like you said, Danny, my notes here, we should look to antagonize Gravenberch a little bit. He's young. He still looks a little shaky, as in like he looks like he's got that silkiness, but I don't see the quickness. I don't see just the hustle. It probably has to do with like he hasn't played a whole lot of English football since he was signed. He's still kind of new-ish to that. And so I think that there's an opportunity there to kind of, and he's still, like I said, very young. I think if we can kind of just expose that a little bit, antagonize him a little bit, maybe cause him to make a few mistakes, I think that'll tell us whether or not mentally he's up for it on the day. If we can cause a couple of mistakes, this is almost where you wish Hannibal was still here, because Hannibal would just go 2-foot him like straight away, right? You remember when Hannibal came on against Liverpool a couple years ago and was just causing all sorts of problems? Yeah, Danny says he's not that press resistant. Exactly. I know people were comparing him to Pogba, but again, Pogba wasn't that press resistant either. On the run, Pogba was good, but in our own third, in a double pivot, Pogba was almost as bad as Eriksen when it comes to defending. But yeah, we should look to antagonize Gravenberch a little bit. I think we can exploit their fullbacks, especially Trent, if we play. I think I would rather see Garnacho play than Rashford. I think Garnacho is going to cause a little more problems than Rashford will. I think Rashford and Trent know each other a little too well sometimes, and I think that can maybe hurt us. But I would like to see Ahmad. I would like to see Garnacho. I think if we get a couple good counterattacking opportunities, or we get our wingers the ball early against their fullbacks, I think we can draw a yellow card, and that'll leave them kind of second guessing themselves and maybe just hesitating a little bit for the rest of the match. Gravenberch tends to act as that sweeper when Liverpool have the ball. If you look at his heat map against Brentford, it was a lot of inside the pitch. So basically they're kind of shooting it to him now and then, and he's kind of acting as a bit of a conduit in some areas. They'll try to hold the ball. They'll try to maintain possession, look for those chances to find their attackers with a quick pass. If we get caught out of position, if we get sucked into that, if we try to press too much and get drawn further up the pitch, we're going to gift them those opportunities. So we really need to be patient with that. Danny says he thinks Endo starts. Well, I really hope they're not starting a 31-year-old midfielder that apparently none of the fans rate. So we'll see how it goes. But I can see that, I think, and it's going to depend. I mean, Arne Slot hasn't changed his side really other than one center back since he has been here. So we'll see how it goes. As far as the starting 11 goes for United, what I think we'll see and what I'd like to see, and probably not going to be the same, and I'm sure you guys will probably know what I mean by that. So I'd like to see Onana, Mazraoui on the right, De Ligt, Licha, and Dalot in defense. I don't know if we'll see De Ligt. Might be Maguire. We'll see. I think Ten Hag might opt for Maguire just because of the fact maybe that Liverpool they put a lot of balls in the box and they do get a lot of those set pieces. But De Ligt is just as why did you sign De Ligt? Just start him. I think we'll see Casemiro. I think we'll see Menu. I'd like to see Garnacho on the left and Bruno in the 10, Ahmad on the right, and Xerxes up top. I like Xerxes. I think if you give Xerxes a little bit of that license to play that 9.5 role that he likes, let him drop deep a little bit, let him get involved and build up. As long as our other players have the tactical awareness and the intelligence to read that and know when to kind of take up the spaces and stuff when other people vacate them, because that's going to be important as well, then it shouldn't be bad. If Ten Hag still doesn't start Xerxes, or if he still doesn't think he's ready, I think an argument could be made to get creative and play Ahmad kind of where Mount played and maybe start Garnacho on the right. Ahmad did play at the 10 a lot when he was on loan at Sunderland, so he's very used to that role. It's not ideal personally, in my opinion, but because we've seen that he can be very dangerous on the counterattack. That's how he got the goal against Brighton. See, when we do counter and we do get forward, we cause problems. That's why I want us to do it a little bit more. Nick says 9.5 roll. Wow, what a position. Yeah, that's what they call that when it's like you're not quite a 10, you're not quite the 9. And Xerxes himself kind of spoke about this in an interview. He's like that 9.5 kind of role, that second striker, if you want to call it that. Like that, kind of like what Benzema plays a little bit, kind of like what Harry Kane kind of turned into a little bit his last couple of seasons at Spurs. You're a striker, yes, on paper, but you're also dropping deep a little bit to get a little bit more involved in the build-up, things like that. So that's kind of what that is. Yeah, like that, like a Totti, a Cantona, you could argue maybe a little bit, that kind of thing. Kind of like Bobby Firmino, but he was more like a false 9. But that kind of play. Again, it's not ideal to put Ahmad in the 10, but it depends on what Ten Hag really wants to do. Yeah, again, sharing him. Yeah, you guys get it. I worry, too, that we might see Garnacho on the bench again, which I think a lot of fans are not going to be happy about if that happens. Rashford, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who starts this match. It's Old Trafford against Liverpool. There's not much more on paper that says Manchester United in that case than like Marcus Rashford. But we can't force that kind of stuff. And it's hard. It's hard as a manager. Do you want to play a player into form, or do you want to bench a player a little bit, let him come on, maybe get a late goal as a sub, build that confidence? It seems like Rashford is a confidence player. Remember, he had that goal drought last season, and we got that pen, and Bruno gave it to him because I think that's good to see. But at the same time, Rashford's getting to that age now where I'm like, bro, we need more from you in that regard. We need more from you between the ears in terms of just getting it together. I don't know what we're going to see on the left. I don't know what we're going to see with Mount, Xerxes. Mount being gone, is Xerxes going to play? Who knows? Will De Ligt start? I want to see speed. I want to see ruthlessness. I want to see a little bit more quick passing, crisper passing. I want to see a bit of trickery on the wings, because I do think that with Robertson, you're either gonna blow past him, or you're gonna draw a foul. Same with Trent. I think Trent is very easy to take out of the game. I'd like to see Collier get involved, maybe late on in the match as well, especially if Manu starts, and especially if Manu starts to look a little knackered later on. This is a big match for Ten Hag. This is a big season for Ten Hag. The fact that it's Liverpool at Old Trafford aside, Ten Hag's in his third season now as United manager. Jose and Ollie did not make it far into their third seasons, if you remember. And I'm not saying Ten Hag should be sacked if he loses. As you know, I'm a big fan. But this is time where you really need to start improving. You set a standard. You've won some trophies. We didn't finish very well in the league last season. We need to do better. And this is the kind of match early on in the season that could really set the tone. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go 2-2 on this one. I'll admit, though, that's probably a bit optimistic. It depends a lot on whether or not we take our chances in front of goal, which we struggle with, and if we avoid making the kind of individual errors that we made against Brighton, because Liverpool are not going to let those errors go unpunished. Brighton didn't let those errors go unpunished. The couple errors we made cost us goals. Not closing down Pedro, or not when he put that ball into Mitoma, caused a problem. Maguire letting that ball roll past him caused a problem. These are issues that we need to figure out, and we can't afford that. Danny says 3-1 Liverpool. Yikes, bro. You're making me sad. Players like Salah will punish you if you're sloppy and slow, especially in your own half. Again, we need to move the ball quicker. We need to move the ball cleaner. Basically, we need to play better than we played last week, because we did not play well last week. So I'm predicting 2-2. The last couple matches we played against these players, it's been draws and then we won. So we have it in us to win, and we arguably have better players now. There's no excuse not to at least get some goals. There's no excuse not to give them a match. Ten Hag really needs to show me something, but we'll see. These players should, if a player at United can't show up for a match against Liverpool at Old Trafford, then you need to fuck off, because this is getting to be ridiculous with some of these players. Nick says 2-2. That was my prediction. Let me know your predictions in the chat. Let me check real quick, as always, because that's about going to wrap it up. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't yet. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Again, don't forget to stop by tomorrow for the show. We're going to be doing a special show. We're going to be rating the transfer window. We're going to be doing our season expectations and prediction. We're going to talk a little bit more about Liverpool match with my buddy Justin. And we're going to be doing that giveaway. So we got a giveaway to thank you guys for helping this channel get to 1,000 subscribers. So we'll be doing that. So be sure to stop by at least to find out if you won or not. So let me see what we have going on here online. Does anybody else have any predictions they want to get in for the score on Sunday? Anybody have any news for anybody? Have any questions, any comments or concerns? I mean, it's not just me. I want to hear from you guys. My throat is killing me now. I've been talking so much. These long shows kill me. So looks like Sancho to Chelsea is pretty much all wrapped up, ready to go. Yeah, nothing else. Probably won't see a whole lot of else. Do you guys think we're going to see any more signings before the end of the window? I think we do need a center mid, but did Fulham lock up Andre? I know that they were linked with him. Danny says Fulham got a good signing in Andre. Well, thankfully they got him after they played us. So I know a lot of people were interested in Andre. I really like Andre. We were linked with him as well. Yeah, I didn't see that online. So couple teams making some late moves. Napoli are trying to build something. They just signed Billy Gilmore as well. I think they got David Neres as well from Benfica, who was at Ajax. And then obviously Scott McTominay and Lukaku. So it's interesting to see what happens. But that's going to do it for me, you guys. Appreciate you all stopping by. Nick, Danny, and some of the new faces. James, Aaron, Rajat, as always, you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. Justin popping up earlier. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Thank you guys for stopping by tonight, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.